Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Starseed Immersion podcast. I have with me today Jenny Zakrzawski, and she is a psychic teacher, master channeler, and spiritual business mentor who founded Starseed Academy in 2019 to guide awakening souls through their spiritual evolution. What began as a YouTube channel has evolved into a multidimensional soul empire, offering certifications in psychic channeling, starseed healing, and spiritual business leadership. Today, as we were speaking with before, Jenny is empower spiritual entrepreneurs to embody their soul gifts and build their aligned business. But you are going through a transition, and that is something I want to dive in as well. So, welcome, Jenny, to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Nikki.
Well, thank you for being here. I would love to hear the beginning of the beginning. Like, what was your life like before you stepped into this? And what was the moment that you were like, wow, okay, I am moving into this now?
Mm. So it's such a convoluted path when you have like a big mission. I feel like as a child, my gifts were very open, and I grew up in a very religious home. So, like a lot of religious programming, and like I would say, like extremism, the particular, religion that my parents raised me in. And so that translated to all of my gifts being like evil in quotations. And so that was really difficult for me because it was um, almost impossible for me not to be afraid and fall into the fear frequency whenever anything would happen. And so, a lot of awakened souls, awakened star seeds, light workers, they put that in their soul contracts to have like a really difficult start of life, to almost have a dark night of the soul early on, to then push you into being that seeker. Because I became such a seeker afterwards, like once I was able to be on my own as an adult and started seeking, like, outside of that religious experience, what more is out there. And then it really wasn't until, like, I think it was 2009 when someone gave me the book The Secret, when I had like an awakening. And that book, I know now we think of as maybe more basic just because we've come so far, but at the time in 2009, that was huge. It was like, oh my God, wait a minute, I'm the creator of my own reality. Like there was so much that it unlocked for me. And that's when I started to reach out to my guides again and communicate with spirit again. And all of those gifts came rushing back in. And so it was important for me to understand what was happening. I was very like, I wanted to analyze it. How am I doing this? How am I speaking with spirit? How do I know it's not me? How do I know it's coming from outside of myself? How do I know it's for my highest good and of the light? And so I started to really like figure it out and break it down. And what ended up me like, um, like documenting all of this turned into one of my most incredible best-selling signature courses, which is teaching people how to do it as well, teaching people how to channel in the light cleanly, purely, ethically, not of the ego. So it all was just kind of like very gradual for me. Probably one of the biggest moments I remember though was starting the YouTube channel. That was such a big deal. That was in 2019, and I remember like really having the soul nudge to do it earlier, probably for a whole year. And I kept pushing it away because I was afraid. I was so afraid to come out of the spiritual closet, the psychic closet, the starseed closet, and to get on the internet and talk about these things just felt like so crazy to me that I would even do that. What would people think? And well, are they going to judge me? And are they going to think I'm wacky? And I'm online then talking about star seeds way before it was cute, way before it was trendy. And I did get all of those kinds of comments and pushback, but it ended up feeling more like pushing me further and making me even more determined to just keep going. Because for every trolling comment, I had someone saying that they were speaking my language, and thank God somebody is finally talking about this stuff, and the things I was sharing that were happening to me, like abductions and angelic visitations and crazy Kundalini rising things. And I was talking about it so rawly and so authentically. And it really connected with people. And I ended up building a beautiful community from it. And so it's so important to listen to those soul nudges because, again, I put it off for a whole year out of fear, out of doubt. Oh, what do I have to offer that somebody else hasn't already said? I could never say it as good as so and so. They've already done this. And it's not true. Like, we have to listen to our soul nudges. Our personality, our soul signature, our experiences are what set us apart from other people. And you do have something to share if you're being nudged towards starting a podcast or a YouTube channel or anything, writing a book. You do have something to share because you have a whole soul tribe of people out there that can't receive it through other people's frequency the way that they can easily receive it from you because you're on the same bandwidth, you're on the same wavelength. They speak your language, they're your soul tribe. And so, just anyone listening, please, please, please recognize a soul nudge, something that keeps popping into your mind, your heart, your gut over and over and over again that you should do and follow it because it didn't end up just being a YouTube channel. It ended up being an empire. And I had no idea that was going to happen.
Oh, I am getting chills. And I do feel like those themes are very resonant to my journey as well. And one of those themes, especially, is authentic self-expression, like being vulnerable with what you're going through has a big impact on your identity and the safety that you feel, right? And so it was about that fear of coming out as a star seed. And even though like I was in the healing field, it was much easier to say like I'm a healer in a 3D perspective of we're healing wounds and stuff to fully step into, well, I'm a star seed and I am now seeing multidimensional beings and I'm communicating with angels and fairies and unicorns. And it's like, do people think I'm weird? And um, how did you like move through that? How did you embrace that?
I really, really leaned on my spirit team because I didn't have people in the physical that were on that level. For a long time at the beginning of my journey before I found my divine partner, I felt like nobody spoke my language. I felt like I was literally dropped off in a family and like some kind of crazy alien baby dropped off in a human family. Like it just didn't fit. And the further I moved into this journey, the more I noticed people left. Friends, relationships, like the frequency of my truth and my mission purged from my life all of the people that weren't going to raise me up and also purged from inside of my system a lot of like um shadow work, I guess we could call it. A lot of like inner child traumas started rising up to be released, past life traumas like crazy, all these crazy past lives of galactic, lifetimes. And also I battled with sobriety, and that is something that I think starseeds also really understand, or a lot of them anyway. And I'm actually this month 5 years sober that I'm celebrating. So I'm so happy about that. And when I finally, again, it was another nudge from spirit. You're using this to escape your feelings. You're using this to escape the work that needs to be done. You need to drop this. You need to face everything. Gosh, that was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. But I will say, your gifts, like the clarity of my channel, my clairs, my third eye, my clairaudience, like is so pristine from letting go of those substances, like any alcohol, any drugs. I don't eat meat. I've cut out caffeine. I've cut out sugar. Like when you cut out all of this stuff, something shifts in your gifts. It just becomes so much more loud, clear, easy to reach. You're not reaching for it, it's right there, clear as a bell. And I'm so grateful for that. And so now I won't mess with my frequency at all because that is so precious to me.
Mm. There's two things I wanted to tap into a little bit deeper. And one was I was very curious to understand what were um like what was the significance of your remembrance of the abductions, or like were you there when it happened, or was this like a memory of when this happened?
So both. As an adult, sometimes I'll get just these like flashes of things that happened as a kid. And then I'll get this crashing awareness through claircognizance of like, oh, that's what that was. Like I remember being a kid and going to sleep like in my nightgown, tucked in bed, and then waking up in a completely different like place in the home, not in my nightgown anymore, like just just waking up like naked and being like, what just happened, and finding my way back to my bed. Um, I think a lot of sleepwalkers. Like I was a big sleepwalker as a kid. I would just get up and go and have conversations. I scared my mom a lot because she came down. I would come down the stairs. I'm just a little kid, like, 6 years old or something. And she comes out in the middle of the night because she hears talking, and I'm sitting in the living room, pure dark living room, like a lady sitting with my legs crossed on the couch having a conversation with something that she can't see. And my poor mother, I just had a flashback of like her face. I'm sure she was freaked out. I'm sure she was scared. There's more than one time when she thought I needed therapy. And yeah, and like I also remember being in like grade 1 and having a past life memory come through strongly, and trying to explain to my mom. I didn't really know that it was a past life. I didn't know what was happening. I was too young. In grade 1, you're so little. But really trying to explain to her, like, every night I wake up and I'm not me. And the dream is so real and I'm trapped in it and I can't wake up. And I'm this like young boy soldier, and there's bombs going off all around me, and I get captured by the other side and I become this prisoner of war. And there's a lot of torture in that dream, unfortunately. And this was like an immediate lifetime before. So kids are very close to their previous lifetimes, maybe one or two. But this was immediately the lifetime before Jenny, who I am now.
Yeah.
And so it was very loud, and it really wanted healing, and it kept coming through. And I kid you not, I dreamt the same dream every single night for an entire summer, like 3 months straight, and had no idea as a kid why or what. And so then those are the things you look back on as an adult and go, oh. So then I went back to that character that I was playing in that lifetime as this soldier, and brought the healing in, brought the forgiveness in for the enemies, like found ways to heal the resentment towards humanity and all the things that I was still harboring from that traumatic death. Yeah, so I completely forget your question, but I just like, once we get going and talking about this stuff, yeah, it's just like it's it feels just as real as this life. It is just as real as this life. Like my past lives are just as real to my soul as Jenny. They're all just characters that
I
I've
see.
played. I'm playing a character right now, but I'm actually the eternal soul within. And that soul has played this character and this character and this character. And the soul doesn't know time. It doesn't know past, future. It's all just happening now. So it's all real. So when you do past life retrievals from the trauma of other lifetimes, it's not, it doesn't feel far away. It's crushing sometimes, the grief that you experience from that.
Is that why sometimes like our nervous system holds these memories and so we may not know what triggered it, but it feels so realistic. It's like the fear that you feel in your body when you're having an experience, it feels like it's happening, like it's a real threat to you. But when you do the healing, you realize, oh, wait a second. It's either from a past life or something in my past that is re-triggering that memory.
Yeah, or your inner child, because a lot of the time people forget a lot about their childhood. Our brain protects us from a lot of our childhood by compartmentalizing it and placing it in the back of the brain where repressed memories go. So yes, either inner child or past lives make sense for things that you don't understand. Like, why do I have this fear of water? Why do I have this fear of this or that, heights, whatever it is? Well, it comes from somewhere.
Mm. Can you talk about the multidimensionality of our experience and why that's important for star seeds in particular? Because I feel like there's a lot of modalities out there that can target certain things, right? Like we can do the subconscious brain, we could do breath work, we can do all of these things, but there's always more and more layers. Like one of those for me is I expanded my awareness into the galactics of I had these galactic lifetimes, and these are the soul aspects that are being embodied now, or that are themes that are playing out now. But then I'm brought back to like, oh, well, we need to look at ancestor stuff, or we need to look at childhood trauma stuff. And it can get quite confusing because there's so many layers.
Yeah, so true. I think, again, I want to say, like, as a star seed, one of the most grounding things that you can do is build deep bonds with your main guides. So you might have a handful of main guides that you get their names, you understand how they are connected to you. You understand that they are all different. They all have different personalities, different roles on your team. Some are protectors, some are healers, some are like that BFF energy where they're very bold and they tell you how it is and to stop, skirting around an issue or whatever it is. That has kept me so grounded because I use those they're all versions of you, by the way. Like, I know that that is not something talked about very much, but all of my spirit guides are all just versions of me, and that's the same for everyone. Like, every spirit guide that you have, it's a version of you. It's like it's you, it's the same oversoul putting itself into all of these characters, right? So when you really connect in deeply with your main guides and your oversoul and your highest human self, and these are things that can keep you really grounded, that you can bounce ideas off of, right? Where you can be like, because sometimes it's hard for people to be able to trust their own intuition. So
Yes.
it's nice to have, it's also, again, just versions of you. So it's almost like a mirror that can like reflect back to you when something is needed, not needed, in alignment, not in alignment. So if I ever have a question for my guides about, like you said, oh, well, do I need to work with my ancestors, or is this coming up now? Or is that coming up now? I tune in and I communicate through a very special way of using the clairs in an overlapped sense. I call it omni clair, where all of the clairs have merged into like one psychic hub. And I don't just use one or two because that can create misinterpretation really easily. It's about using the four main clairs: clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and claircognizance simultaneously as one language that fills in all the gaps and details. And so clairsentience is a very good one because it's the ability to feel energy and truth, that you can tune into a person. Like, say you want to work with a mentor and you're like, is this truly for my highest good? I use clairsentience to feel into that. Does it feel expansive, or does this person feel like a little bit distorted from where I'm trying to head? And the more that you use them, the louder that these gifts get. So I would say I turn to my gifts and my guides for guidance on everything. And I also trust that I don't need to go searching just because someone's saying you need to do this with your ancestors. No, that's not for me. When it naturally rises is when I will experience it. I never go searching for past lives to heal. I never go searching for anything. I just know that if I am truly aligned, the things that are meant for me will come onto my path. And that also keeps me from going in a million directions at once.
Mm. Um, and that really resonates, because one of the lessons that I've learned over time is, did I pick that up from a mentor? And like I've done like healings on myself where I was like, oh, that's actually clouding my energy because I picked it up from someone else. So what's your take on, like, can you actually, well, I guess we can be conditioned, and so it's about discernment, right? So you're the message that you're sharing is being so in tune with your own channel and with your own intuition so that you're not allowing like the other people's projections or taking on other people's projections.
Yes, but I really deeply believe in mentorship as well. But then that would look like the person that is the right mentor, because I have always had mentors and it has expanded my business and myself and my growth greatly. It's truly like there's nothing like it. But it's really important then that you're using that intuition and those gifts to tune in. Is that the right person for you? Is that where you want to be headed? So you always want to pick a mentor that speaks your language. Like, I would never pick a mentor that wasn't psychic. Why on earth would I do that?
Yeah.
Because that's so heavily who I am. That's like exactly my own gifts and frequencies, so deeply psychic, that if I ever chose someone that wasn't, it would just be a clash. And I have done that. I've chosen somebody that's maybe more of like a 3D strategist. And it's never been as magical or as expansive or as helpful as when I choose someone that is like me, speaks my language, has the same kind of like core beliefs as me, is also very psychic, and then is able to give me an outside perspective, because that's the one thing that is difficult to get. Even as a master channeler, it's a lot easier to channel for someone else. Like, I could tell, a stranger everything about where they need to head and where they need to take their messaging, their offer suite, their business. But for myself, it is there, but it's like, there's there's this experience of when it's you, your ego tries to get in the way of like fear. No, don't do that. You can't. That's too different. Stay with what works, this or that. And then having that outside mentor who sees your potential, right? It's like standing in the middle of a tornado. You can't see it, but somebody on the outside of a tornado can clearly see what's happening. When they see your potential and you trust them with that vision, then they can show you where you can really go, and the expansiveness of that. And then you always just bounce their ideas for you off of your gut, making sure, yeah, you know what? That is amazing. I can't believe I didn't think of that. That feels so good for me. Let's do it. So you're still using that intuition, but you've got that beautiful mentor as well. So yeah, I very, very deeply believe in mentorship.
Yes, that's a beautiful way to put it. And one of the things that you said about like being in that tornado, um, is that just the process of transformation, right? So having a mentor, they can see that, oh, you're just in the process of transformation and you're not actually spiraling out of control. You're just going through a process. So in your experience, like what does the process of transformation actually look like? There's always this misconception that it's always going to be like a good experience or like um uh that you always have to fix yourself to get to where you want to be, right? So what is your take on that?
I don't think I've ever not been in transformation. There is something about, I don't know if it's just maybe people that have a big mission, or maybe you could tell me if you feel the same way. I kind of feel like most people I talk to feel this way, where it's like I'm never not changing. I'm never not evolving. Like I don't have like this any stagnancy where you can just like take a breath and relax. Like for some reason with my path, it's just like once one thing is settled, the next thing starts to erupt. And so I don't know if I'll get to a point in my life where I feel like, I've reached where I'm going. Probably not. I think it's a lifelong or even soul long journey. So for me, it's a constant rebirth. Like I always say like Madonna. I know that that's kind of an old reference now, but Madonna was like every song she was a new character. That's what it feels like. Every offer that I create brings out a different side of me that creates a whole new evolution and transformation. I did a priestess course and I went deeply into my priestess path, and that changed the way that felt, saw things, dressed, spoke, everything. And then the next path, the next thing was all about like business, Starseed business mentorship that I have. And so then I was really like in my psychic strategist mindset. And so I made a video about this on YouTube. It's like when you are a hybrid soul,
Yeah.
like where you are so multidimensional, you've had so many lifetimes, you've got so many facets to you. Every single thing you do can bring out a new side of your personality. And here's something that people can look to. If this is you and you are truly this very multidimensional soul, you will either have moved a lot in your life. Like I have moved so many times, it's crazy. You will have had a ton of different jobs. You may also have had different friend circles quite often that you move through because you're constantly in growth, you're constantly changing, you're constantly evolving. Your style is so evolving, like all the time there's something different that you're trying or doing. It's like but it's beautiful. It's like art. It's like life is a piece of artwork, and you're constantly, finding new ways to express yourself through the canvas that you have of your body. So yeah, I just feel like it's constant evolution, constant rebirth. And you and I were talking just before we hit record here about right now I'm going through another rebirth. And I would say that this one feels bigger. Like this feels like some transformation cycles just feel like little loops. This one feels like a big one. And I do think a lot of people are going through what I'm calling like a rebrand of self, where you are purging so many old versions of you and so many old identities, and they just keep coming to the surface for you to look at and decide whether you want to cling to that or finally let it go. So like old issues like insecurities coming to the surface. I was talking before about how my anxiety revisited after so long, and all of these things just revisiting, your old mentality, your old self, your old issues coming to the surface to be released. And underneath that is the true expanse of you. So the more you can purge, the more you can let go, the more that you are going to truly find like your more like, I guess, like the clearest frequency that you can be, like your purest self. is underneath all of this stuff. And so it's not about like, oh, I got to find who I am, I got to search for who I am. It's about letting go of all that you are not.
Mm. I loved your expression of the artist because that was one of the things that I stepped into this year actually. I was like so attached. Like I was like, am I a healer, right? Like I did relationship coaching prior to becoming a healer. So I was like, am I a relationship coach? And I was like, I don't feel connected to that anymore. Like, am I a healer? And then all of these spiritual gifts came through and I was like, but I don't feel like I'm doing healing per se. So like, how do I define myself? And it was always this like definition of self against, I guess, like the old paradigm of like who are you and what is real and what is not. And moving into this year, it was more of a remembrance of the inner child and like who I was prior to all the conditioning, which was the artist, right? But it was very resonant to what you just said about what if we are this constantly evolving? It's like we're wearing these costumes and we're constantly evolving. And it was that mentality that actually came through for me because there was a lot of resistance at first and resentment. I was so resentful at spirit because I was moving through these cycles so fast and I couldn't catch up. And I felt so ungrounded and I felt so lost in who I am or who I was and who I'm supposed to be. So your expression of, well, I just moved through these different cycles is very validating and also a beautiful perspective to be like, I'm rebirthing myself into this expression of self in this moment. And that's perfect. That's beautiful. That's what my soul wants to express. And then that cycle finishes, right? It's like a play. I finished the scene in the movie, I finished the play. Let's move into the next thing. And that's actually quite exciting if you think about it. It's like your life is never boring.
But it is a play because you're playing the character right now of Nikki, right? Like it's all a play. And that's the thing about like, well, who am I really? The only real answer is the eternal soul within,
Mm,
right? And that's why connecting to the oversoul, which is your real highest self, is one of the most powerful things that you can do because that's your truth. That's your true level of like wisdom and magnetism and charisma and intelligence and all of that. Everything that we do in these smaller incarnations is a character, right? I know it's important to embrace the human experience, and that is why we go through the veil of forgetting. If you think about like a horse that has the blinders on the sides of its face, they put those blinders on horses so that they don't get spooked and so that they just focus on the path in front of them and they don't look to the left or to the right. They just focus on the path. That's what the veil of forgetting does for us. When we come down through earth to be born into this system, all of us go through the veil of forgetting. It's like a horse with blinders on. It's saying, don't worry about your past lives. Don't worry about the eternal soul within. Just focus on being a human right now. But then the fun part for an awakened soul is breaking through that rule of this simulation or matrix and being like, wait a second, let me just take this one blinder off and see what's in this direction. Okay, let me take this other one off. And suddenly, and that's maybe why it can be confusing because we are trying to live as the oversoul or as that soulful self inside of a single human, right? Which is maybe not how it was meant to be, but it's beautiful. And so that's what an awakening is. It's just like taking off the blinders and remembering who you really are, which means your past lives, which means realizing once you start to look at past lives, oh my God, how many are there? There's so many, hundreds, thousands of lifetimes. How could you possibly remember them all? Like you really can't. But then that starts to lead into that deeper knowing that they were all characters that you played. And this is a character that you're playing. And that's when you start to get into Kundalini rising, where you rise right up out of this level of consciousness into something much greater that's looking down at your life, going, like, okay, I am the character in the video game, but I'm also the one that is observing the character in the video game and watching what they're going to do. And you're like, that's true enlightenment to me, being in it, like deeply in it as the human and the character, feeling the emotions, having the conversations, going your daily routines, all the things, but also having an amount of consciousness I don't want to give it a percentage, but a good amount of consciousness that is also looking down at you doing all the things that you're doing and cheering you on. I think that's enlightenment. I think when you put your consciousness in both places, that's what enlightenment feels like.
Mm. Is there a very significant moment that you would like to share with us? And I don't know, I just felt called to ask that. Like, I would love to know if there was like a moment in time that really stood out for you when you had that awareness or experience.
I think every time I have um, that, like what people call Kundalini rising, or I call the Oversoul perspective, it's always so impactful to your life. And if you research what people experience when they have that, everyone says the same thing. Everyone says, all of a sudden, I realized I was everything. And you start saying things like, "Oh, I am that, and I am that." And you're looking at, thing like this plant, this table, that I am that, I am that, I am that, I am everything. Because I am the one soul that feeds life force into everything. And I'm just remembering that while I'm in this tiny little human life. That's so crazy. And you can only hold that in your body for a certain amount of time before you feel it kind of fade and you go back into your human life. But the more times that that happens to you, the more it anchors in. And I feel like it's inviting more soul light and soul consciousness into the body with you. And which, that is ultimately going to shift your frequency, empower your gifts, your health, everything. So yeah, I think that every time that I really connect with that over soul consciousness, it feels so expansive that all you can do is laugh. Like there's a lot of laughter that comes with it because you kind of like look down at your life and realize all the little things I was so worried about are so silly because I see from this perspective everything's divinely orchestrated. Every single little moment in my life was for a reason. Like the traffic that made me late for work saved me from a car accident 5 minutes up the road, and you don't know that, right? That person that you were kind to and held the door open for, it sparked something in them, and the ripple effect was that they went on to help 100 other people. Like every little moment, everything that feels, we judge things to feel negative or positive or whatever, it's not though. It's all divinely orchestrated. And if you live from that perspective, which is very divine feminine, like where you accept everything that shows up on my path is for me, and I'm not going to get into resistance for anything. I'm going to be open and accepting of everything that shows up. Because if it wasn't for me, it wouldn't show up on my path. And that means that's a really hard pill to swallow for people because some people have been through some really difficult things, myself included. Like having like a lot of childhood abuse and going through a lot of addictions and going through a lot of health problems and going through failed, relationships and all these terrible things that we all go through. But then when we look back on it, don't we always think, yeah, but that's what made me who I am. Yeah, but look how much I learned from that. So even things that feel difficult are still for you, right? So if you lived in this way, everything that shows up on your path, you just accept immediately. Oh, it must be for me or it wouldn't be here. It's either a blessing, a lesson, medicine, it's for me. And you never push back against life, which is very like Eckhart Tolle, like if you ever read his books, very much his perspective, to never be in resistance and to be a friend to everything that shows up on your path, even if it doesn't feel good. That would change everything. If you could manage that, you would be living as an ascended master on this in this world, right? You would be living as enlightened. If you were never in resistance, everything would flow into you. Abundance, health, freedom, fulfillment, everything would flow in. It's us blocking our good because we're always in contraction and resistance energy. So I think that that is one of the things that I continually am working on, to be open and accepting of everything that comes on my path and continually reminding myself it's for me or I wouldn't be here.
Mm. And that takes away, and I feel like that takes away the need or the desire to constantly try to improve or fix because it's this awareness that like you are in this experience and you're already whole. There's nothing to fix. It's just you are aware of an experience and like there's infinite experiences that are out there. So the way that you express that, I'm like, wow, I even feel the energy like so light, right?
Mhm.
Um,
And it also takes away the fear. You're
and,
saying it takes away the having to try to like try for things, but it also takes away the fear because you can't do it wrong, right?
mm,
You're not going to miss something that's meant for you.
Yes. Oh, okay. So this is a so this is really, really great because one of the I think like one of the resistances that I've had in my experience has always been expectation. And expectation puts a limitation in a box over what your soul is here to experience. And then there's that ego that wants certain things in its life. But then when you go through the experience, you realize it wasn't the ego that was fulfilling the expectation. It was actually the soul fulfilling the experience of having that experience, right? Um, when we bring that back to like our 3D world, um, there are certain things that I don't know how to say this, right? Like people want love and people want money and people want good health and these are like core desires. How do you balance that with like your soul experience that you're going through, right? Like if right, very real things. You have to pay the bills, you have to eat well, like you have to eat food, right? Like and you
Yeah.
can't go not eating food and things like that. So is there like do you have something to share on that?
Yes, we are in a world where you're meant to take action. We are living in, like, Earth is one of those worlds where you don't just snap your fingers and everything you want arrives. It's all about action, but it's not action itself, it's aligned action. And
Mhm.
so the kind of mentality that we were talking about before would get you into alignment, where you're in open receivership, where you're in open acceptance of all that life brings to you. And when you're in that alignment, frequency wise, any action that you take will support your desires. It's when we take action from fear, lack, worry, stress, and constricted energy that we get off track. But if you take action from a place of feeling so good already within and grateful for what you already have and trusting that everything is divinely orchestrated, then the action that you take is backed by the universe and amplified and is sending that beacon out there of your true desires, your soul desires, not ego desires coming to you. So I all day long I'm like a ping pong ball that bounces back and forth between alignment, action, alignment, action. So for instance, on a small human level, before I go to write that email, I quickly stop and I check in and I create what I call a sacred space. I do a quick sacred space with my archangels, my guides, God source connecting in, anchor me in truth, anchor me in the highest good for all involved, anchor me, my channel in like clarity and truth. Okay, now I'm going to write the email. So I take these little tiny, it would just look like me closing my eyes for a moment and then taking action. But that moment, that choice makes all the difference. So if before you go to take action, you did that, your action would be so much more aligned. It's not perfect because we're human and we're not supposed to be perfect, but it's certainly helpful. It certainly makes a big, big, big difference and shift if you start to get into alignment before you have that difficult conversation, before you get on session, before you get on an interview like this, before you write an email, before you do anything, quickly get in. And this is also like, think about it as bouncing between the divine feminine and the divine masculine, because
Mhm.
alignment is feminine and action is masculine. This will also keep you in balance in the feminine and masculine energies as well.
Beautiful. And like you work in the business space, like you coach in the business space. So I've been in business spaces where it is very more 3D and a lot of it's focused on strategies, right? How does alignment and strategies work in the 5D? Like how, and you said you've been in containers like that as well. In your experience, how do those two differ? And how did that support you?
Yeah, it's quite different. So, like you were talking before in this call about how you were like, am I a healer? Am I a relationship coach? Am I this? Am I that? One of the most powerful things that I do for my business clients is to help them to uncover their own personal soul technology. What is your own spiritual technology that you are here to bring to this world? Let's create that modality and that method so you can bring it to millions. That is so authentic. When you are working, like when your offers, your business and everything, the foundation at all of it is your personal spiritual technology. What's your soul specialty? What's your spiritual specialty? What are you truly here to bring through? And the way that I get that information is from what I call your Star Nations Alliance. So, this higher dimensional group or council that you were once a part of, but now you're here on Earth acting as an ambassador for. You're still connected to them. You're still here to bring through that extremely specific, hyper specific cosmic niche frequency to this world. And you're not here to help everyone. You have a cosmic niche of an ideal client that you were here to serve as well. When we narrow down exactly what you're here to do and who you're here to serve, that changes everything. So then you've got like already deep, deep alignment with the soul. And then when we go to do what you were calling like strategies with a launch plan, so say you have an offer and you're about to launch this offer, all of our strategies need to be anchored into that core frequency. But yes, you still need to have 3D strategies or anchor these higher dimensional frequencies somehow here in a physical world. So that might look like an email sequence. That might look like a content series. That might look like a master class to like launch something bigger, right? So, but the strategy feels so aligned to the soul because of the purpose, the frequency in it is deeply anchored in you. It's not like I think that's one of the big problems is coaches just have people copy what they do, right? But it's not that's not how it should work. It should be about you and your mission. And then the strategies all revolve around that. So everything's super personalized and customized for my clients.
Mm. I think that's beautiful. And where you touched upon that is that you start from your core, the core essence of who you are and where you came from and what you're here to do. And then you can build up on that, right? If you build on a foundation that was maybe like the not self identity or like not knowing the core and building from these separated aspects, each time you evolve, it would have to crumble and then you would restart. But that is also a part of transformation. So I would love to hear your experience of transitioning into when you launched your Priestess program and then how that transitioned to when you launched your business. And was it a smooth transition because you already built your foundation?
It's like, yeah, I already have Starseed Academy so strongly built into this world, right? It has beautiful foundations, and my foundations are based around my gifts, like what I'm here to do, my spiritual specialty, my technologies, but it's also based on my why. You can't forget your why because that's when you get really lost in the numbers. You start to look at like the statistics and the money and the this and the that. You've lost your why. Like your why is should be like the most important reason that you do anything. Why am I truly doing this? You know, and your why is deeply personal. It's like, well, because I'm here to help, you know, souls that are awakening and feel like super confused, starseeds that are awakening and feel so lost to discover their gifts, master their gifts, build their spiritual business. I know what my why is and it feels so good and it feels like me. And I can't lose sight of that or I will lose the whole big picture, right? But
Yeah.
like for like just the little programs, like I have main programs that are solid, but then I like to play, right? So my soul likes to play. Okay, I want to play in the priestess world. So that's like a little ebb, like think of an ocean wave, an ebb and flow of energy. It's not going to last forever, my desire to do that, because it's not my core why. It's just, it was like a taste of something that I wanted to bring to people. So that's like a little ebb and flow. So I feel the desire to do it. And as long as I'm in the desire, I'll keep doing it. And when it fades, I'll stop. And then I'll look at what the next ebb and flow is, what the next wave coming in is, all the while still having my core offers that are always based in my why, but allowing myself to play so I don't get bored in some smaller things that feel fun to me. Like I need to have that level of creativity and fun as well.
Oh, I love that. That is such a beautiful way to like have fun and explore and still maintain that stability. Like when I can tune into that and be like, "Ooh, that masculine energy is the stability." Like you have the stability, your core, and then the you have the container to play in the feminine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, beautiful. Every interview I ask if you have like a message or even like an activation for the audience, is there anything intuitively that you would like to share with us?
Let me tune in and see what wants to come through for this audience specifically. So, what's coming in is that there are so many galactic specialists walking this earth right now, thinking that they are meant to be in the corporate world, thinking that they are meant to be, I'm just a healer, or I'm just a channeler, or I'm just this, or I'm just that, not understanding the real power and effect of their gift when they strip back the generalized archetype that they've put on themselves. And so I would challenge you to look deeper than, oh, I'm a healer, or I'm a channeler, or I'm an activator. You're actually more than that. You just need to get more specific. Truly, what are you here to heal? Because you're not just a healer. And when I do this with my clients, we find the most incredible soul specialties that they have, and sometimes literal like technologies that they're here to teach others, methodologies. It's so specific. So get more specific than a generalized like level, like healer, channeler, activator. It's more specific than that. So start to think about like, and trying to, I would love to work with anyone that feels resonant to this, but if you want to do it on your own, I think the level where you really want to tune into this is the Oversoul level, which is much higher than dimensions. It's outside of all dimensions. It's like a little mini source, like a little mini God. Ask for your Oversoul to connect with you, and then ask that Oversoul to show you, you have many spiritual specialties, many technologies over your thousands of lifetimes, but which one is supposed to come through here and now on earth? Which one is going to be the most helpful to humanity at this period of time? And when you back it in wanting to be of service, that also empowers it, because as soon as you place yourself in service, spirit in the universe rushes in to support a soul that wants to be of service to others. And some examples would be like, someone that's come to me and thought that they were a healer, and it turns out that they were actually here to activate the goddess codes inside of women to help them embody the true divinity, where they could, heal their sisterhood wounds, their witch wounds, and the wounds around the way that they view their physical temple. So it was like way more specific. She was going to work with ancestors and literal goddesses to bring these kinds of mentorship, healing activations, and empowerment through for women. And that's just one example of many. I had another client that thought she was, I get a lot of healers. I get a lot of mediums. I get a lot of people coming to me that are channelers, healers, mediums, therapists, all of these things. And they come to me and they're like, it feels okay, but something still feels a little off. And I'm like, okay, we got to get to your truth, to your spiritual specialty. We got to narrow it down. And when I do that, they completely revamp their entire offer suite to match this frequency, because the resonance is so deep that they end up crying tears of resonance when I explain to them what's truly coming through for them. A really amazing one was someone that is here to be an abduction alchemist. So she was working with starseeds. So she was already, in the right field, but she was working, like a lot of people are doing, just like spiritual mentorship or ascension mentorship. But she was actually here to be an abduction alchemist and to alchemize the pain and the trauma of being abducted, and to bring that from victim into co-creator, and to help these women, which it was mostly women, realize that you're actually a part of a program. You're actually a co-creator in a hybridization program, or in a testing program, or in a this program. There's all these amazing programs that we agree to be a part of in our soul contracts. But when we go through the veil of forgetting, horse with the blinders on, we forget. Then we have abductions, we get really scared, and we think we're a victim, and we think it's happening to us, not for us. But if we remember what we talked about earlier, everything that comes on your path is for you. And so she's helping bring the remembrance back for these women that have been terrorized, that have been so afraid, that have been like disconnected, and getting into distrust with the galactics because of these experiences, moving back into realizing, healing that trauma and that distrust, into realizing that they respect you. They see you as a co-creator. You are not a victim. Step back into your empowerment, and let's interpret these abductions, what's happening to you, the amount of healing that is needed around this, and no one's doing it. And this is
Mm.
what came through when I sat with her and channeled her Star Nations Alliance. And now she's building the most incredible membership, mentorship, courses, all of these things around abduction alchemy. And there's no place for these women before this. Because if they try to speak about what happened to them, they're either ridiculed or not believed. They're shamed in some way. There was no safe place, not, let alone a place that could shift it into empowerment. It was so needed. I didn't even realize how much was needed until we brought it through, and I was like, tears in my eyes and all these resonance chills. And I was like, this is so important that you bring this through. I'm so grateful you came to me so we could bring this through and heal the relationship with, because disclosure is going to happen and we can't have all this animosity between us and galactics. Like, so she's healing these women deeply, and she is bringing them back into empowerment, and she's helping them to remember that they are the co-creators of these programs. And maybe now with this remembrance they'll be able to go on and help others to do the same, and even bring through the information of what the programs are, because we it'd be great for us to know that, right?
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for sharing such a specific example because that really puts into perspective. Like, if you know your core and what you're here to do, like, that was so specific and so spot on.
And it always is. And it turned out that she is an Asasani starseed.
Wow.
So an ascended gray that is here, like, they're that's like humanity on another timeline, essentially. And the Asasani are the grays that are ascending, which means they're actually like kind of like trying to evolve backwards, because grays evolved themselves so forward into just logic and
Yeah.
brain power that they lost their humanity, they lost their emotional centers, they lost the ability to breed and have babies, and now they have to clone themselves and they're going further and further from their divinity. And so the Ssani are the version of the grays that realize that and start to build a bridge back to humans and ask for help. Help us through hybridization programs, help us breed ourselves backwards to where we can have emotional centers again, breed again, feel love and respect and harmony and balance again, and still keep all the good things, but become a more evolved, consciously evolved version of selves back to that divinity. And so humans are um, basically like the sovereign healers of a lot of different galactics. I would even say reptilians. I know that there's a lot of reptilian hybridization programs as well, where we're helping reptilians that are so stuck in 4D. They're so stuck in the ego of 4D and the duality of it, and the I want more, 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 more power, more money, more this. They've been stuck for eons in 4D and through hybridization programs with humans. Humans are like the answer to a lot of these problems. It's so beautiful. We think we're so like little in comparison to the galactics, but we are mighty. We might be in small containers, but we are mighty, and we are healing through these programs ancient galactic civilizations that have been stuck to start to evolve again towards love and ascension.
I love that because I do feel like when we have that expansion into the galactics, like I forgot about the human. And then coming back to the human, I realized, and I was even shown that, like, when I was on the spaceship, they showed me the training to go through to be an activator and how they built the new human. And the first thing that they put was the crystalline heart. And like that was the big like focus. It was like humanity, especially on Earth, we are heart-centered, and that is the gift that we are bringing to other galactic civilizations is our emotional heart, the intelligence of the heart. So I
Agree.
think it's so beautiful that you just mentioned that we are supporting them away from all the more and more logic to a more heart-centered way of living.
Hmm. Absolutely. I think humans are the secret and the answer to a lot of these galactic issues, because we are so deeply emotional and passionate and inspired and poetic and artistic, and all of those things are so important, and they're not naturally found in a lot of these other civilizations, and it's a gift that we have that. And I know sometimes as a human it can feel difficult, like a roller coaster. Our emotions are so high and so low and so high and so low, but if
Yeah.
we remember what a gift it is and how dull life would be without it, then we can really bring reverence back to that.
Oh, I just feel the love pouring from my heart space when you said that. So thank you for sharing that message. And thank you for being here on this podcast. You have a free gift to share with the audience members. Would you like to share that with us?
Absolutely. So I have a psychic foundations masterclass that really helps people to start to use their clairs, learn what a sacred space is, learn how to see, feel, hear, and know like what is around you, and to start to tune into those, because the language of the clairs is the foundation for all psychic gifts. Your most advanced psychic people that you're following, maybe you're following Bashar or Shaman Durek, like the people that you put on a bit of a pedestal, All of their gifts boil down to that they're a master of their clairs. If you do that, that's the foundation of being an incredible healer, channeler, activator, astral travel, journey person, light language artist. All of it starts with the clairs.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And if anyone's interested in working with you, is there a website that they can connect with you at?
Yes, they can come to starseedacademy.live. You can also find me on Instagram and YouTube.
Amazing. And I will have all the links below in my video description. So it has been such an honor to have you on this podcast, Jenny. And thank you everyone for tuning in, and I will see you in the next episode.